Hello, everyone. This is the for loop in for the part two, the for loop part two with this thing. I kind of departed with you last time about the infinite loop with this thing. Let me just tweak this a little bit so we can have a little bit more interesting conversations with this thing. So let's say I change this I into 1, and I change this right here into or equal to 20, some sort of test value, we could do this thing. Instead of I, now let's multiply this by 2. Okay, something a little bit more interesting. And again, we need to get this thing out as the print screen with this thing. So what happens? What happens when this comes in? I is 1. I comes into this as 1. This is true. Enter the block code. The output is what? Output is 1. Correct? And then I now updates to what? 1 times 2 equals 2 here. I becomes 2, correct? 2 is plugged in here. 2 less than or equal to 20. Output 2. All right, so you can see how this iteration, this number, this is going to go 1, 2, 4, 8. You know, this is going to multiply 2 times 4 is 8, and then it's going to, you know, this 8 is going to multiply 2, becomes 16, and then 16 plugs in here, right, becomes true, output 16. That's the last iteration. You plug 16 into this thing, becomes 32. This becomes false with it, so it ends right here. You can specify any rule that you want to modify the I, such as doubling it every step that you want. It doesn't matter. This is what I'm talking about right here. Okay, so that's one example I want to point out too. Let's do another one. Let's do 0. Okay, I is less than the string. All right, assume that you declare a string up there, and we can find out something along like the string length. Now this is more of the Java students I'm talking about. So for sort of some of the methods that you need to look for, you use the length method. Now my 1436 students, ignore this comment that I'm about to talk to you about, the length. All right, so here's the length part of this. This is for my 1437 students with it. I'm going to increment this. All right, and I'm going to output this thing. So you basically going to output everything and it's in this length until the last valid indexes. It's going to start out 0, 1, 1, 2. And it's going to output out all this stuff with it. Now, in the body of this loop, what you need to do is to output this thing, you need to use what? System out print outline with this thing is string char at. Okay, this is for my Java students, not my 1436 students. All right, so char at I in this case, right? So just to give you how this actual nth ninth position is going to output all the stuff out with it. Okay, all right, hold on. Hey, this is continuing where we left off from. This is part of part two with it. I want to address a few things that how I organize the notes with this thing so we can actually follow through. And I've broken down to the common loops that you're going to look at here with it. And as before if you ever have in the future for data structure, which is program fundamentals 3 with it. And I kind of organize this to a little bit more logical sense with it and how you want to use these loops with it. I broke this down to 6 types of loops that we're going to look at in this series with it. The first one is sum and average value. Second one is counting matches, and third one is finding the first match, pumping until a match is found, maximum, minimum, and comparing adjacent values with. So let me do the first one with you. All right. So let's say you were asked to compute a number of the first one. So in this first one, I want to ask you to do is if you want to follow along with this. This is the first one we're looking at right here. Is the actual compare the sum and the average of this thing. So if you look at if you have